Welcome to the Spirit of a Badass, where we celebrate stories of courage, hope, and resiliency. I'm your host, Alecia Jacobson. Hello, and welcome to the podcast today. This podcast is happening because of a prior podcast that I had, episode 20 with Becky Birkin. If you remember episode 20, Becky showed up with some hot lips on, and I had actually texted her prior to that recording and said, I don't care what you have on as long as you show up in that lipstick because it is hot as hell. And that's how I found out about Jennifer Pavlick, who's joining me today because she has potty mouth lips. And it is just this like super sexy lipstick. And I'm going to let her tell you because I actually don't know all of the things. But Becky was like super hot on the show. So you might have to go back and watch that one. So welcome to the episode today, Jennifer. I'm so happy to have you here.
Thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah. So before we get into what we're going to talk about, can you share, because you have like a zillion businesses that you have, can you just give us like the rundown of all the things that you have started and going on?
Okay, well, first, pull up a chair because it's going to be a list. So I came from a family farm. So my mom and I have an Arabian horse farm, and we used to years ago do a lot of breeding and training. And now we've downsized to it being just a little boutique farm. So that's more of the fun, even though it requires a lot of work. But I've been a hairstylist for over 30 years. And gosh, I think I've been in business for 28 of those 30 years. So I have recently, as of a couple of years ago, retired. So I'm not doing it full time any longer. So I only do hair just on the side. My husband and I have an RV rental business where we rent out an RV, which then for him turned into another business, which is an RV mobile repair business. And he's actually retiring in seven working days left from UPS, and he will be doing his RV mobile repair business full time. And then I've been in network marketing for since I've been 18, but with a company for 9 years. But I've just kind of taken a step back from that because I really wanted my own brand, hence where Potty Mouth comes in. So I've got the Potty Mouth lips, and then I have my own digital hub with digital products that house my main brand, which is That Sweary Mom. So it's a blog. We talk about fashion, beauty, fitness, no bullshit. And That Sweary Mom is all about mindset, motivation, geared more towards women 40 and over. And there's a little bit of a reason why I picked that niche. But then, like I say, That Sweary Mom has branched off to launch Potty. So yes, I'm a very multifaceted. Nothing runs parallel in this world.
No. Well, that's because I connected with you after talking with Becky. And then I'm like, wait a second, I'm following you. And I'm like, wait, you have all of these things. And you're right, it doesn't run parallel. How did you decide on all these spaces to be in?
Well, first off, just being in the hair industry for 30 years, I'm going to be 48. So that goes to show you I've been doing hair right out of high school. I love the beauty industry. I love health and fitness. Two things that I do that aren't businesses is I do bodybuilding, and I'm also in a rock band.
That was the one. I forgot about this. And I saw the picture. I was like, you're in a band too?
That's a whole nother story.
Yeah,
but yes,
that's so cool though.
Yes. Yeah. So, just being in the beauty business, I knew it was my calling, and it's not necessarily just because of beauty and beauty products. I truly love helping women become confident and strong and find their purpose and just tap into your inner badass. Like, you all have it. We all have that in us. It's just got to come out more. Right. And then I wanted to do the blog. I did a blog years ago, and I really actually was more worried about what people thought with my blog about 15 years ago. And I was like, what the fuck, Jen, this is not you. Bring her back, put a title on her, make it you, 100% authentically me. And I have a disclaimer on it. Like, if you're easily offended, this ain't for you. Don't enter. Do not enter. And my husband and I, about the RV business, we had rented one of our buddies' RVs and went on a field trip as a family, because it's just my husband and my daughter and I. And, COVID was going on. Nobody wanted to fly. Nobody was doing vacations. So we rented and did a fun road trip. And we're like, we need to do this. Let's buy us an RV. but it didn't make sense to let it sit there. So we have now made it into a business where people take it and fill their family dreams, or, weekend with the girls or, whatever it may be. And it's been really cool. Well, with that, we had bought a brand new RV and it was beautiful right off the lot, brand spanking new. And it had nothing but problems. And we could only get it to a place in Chicago. And that was backed up. And so my husband, he's pretty handy himself. And he started to take all of these, and his week's vacation from UPS, he'd end up using to take these classes. And now he's a technician and we've got our own business. So those two they run parallel together, but everything else is just,
yeah, I love it. Okay. So
it's kind of my brain. It's my ADHD brain and it works beautifully.
Yeah. Well, and I just think it's so cool. Well, there's a lot of things I think about you are cool. And one that you already said that I want to go back to. I work with so many women who hold themselves back because they're like, well, that doesn't really make sense. It's not parallel. Like you said, it doesn't run parallel. And then they just don't do it, where you're just like, it's just me. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And that's who you are. And you embrace that, which you said, I started the blog and I was worried about what other people thought about me. So I stopped. What happened there? How did you get to the space of worried about what other people thought about you to, I don't give a fuck anymore. I'm going to show up as me. And if I have to put a disclaimer on, I'm going to put a disclaimer on.
I think age. I've always been kind of I don't really give a shit what people think about me, but in the back of my mind, I'm kind of like, that kind of, I think we all say we don't really care what other people think about us, but deep down inside, we will let some of our actions. And still to this day, I mean, let's be transparent. I'll have some things where I'm like, I might think twice before I do it. How is this going to come across? What's this going to look like? But I think just age and maturity and just self-healing, just kind of the internal work. I am a person, and if you follow me, I either have people who love me for this or they absolutely fucking hate me for it, but I really don't care. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. I'm not going to preach to you. So there is nothing in my blog that I'm preaching that I haven't done myself. And so I think there was just that turning point where I knew that I was made for more. And I'm like, why am I holding myself back? What is it? And I don't know if it was, I could really tap into it 100% of what it was, but it's like, just spread your wings and who cares, Jen? There's going to be people who love you for you and there's going to be people who hate you for you. And you're going to tap into the perfect audience, the perfect group of people that are meant to be there. And that's kind of where I'm at in my life, just encroaching 50 is I don't want to be friends with 1,000 people. I want to be friends with the right people. And I want people that are here for a reason and a purpose, not just because she's really cool. I want to hang out with her. You got to bring something to the table because I'm tired of giving. And I don't ever ask for anything in return. But if you're sitting at a table that I built, we're going to continue to build it longer, bigger, better, stronger together. And if not, get out. Life is so short. And I know it's so cliche, but you get one life. And if you're not fucking living it every day, doing the things that make you happy that you want to do in here and in your gut, then what's the point? Go. Bye.
Yes.
Sorry. I mean, I know people are going to be like, she's such a hard ass and bitch. Good. But you know what? I'm really happy. I'm so happy in my life. Like the happiest I've ever been, the most at peace I've ever been. And it's funny not to kind of go off on this tangent, but there's this, people who are always searching for new things and doing new things. They're unhappy. Yeah, I used to be that person that would have 10,000 things on her plate because I was trying to avoid the shit I needed to deal with inside, right? And in here. And so I put a lot of stuff on my plate. What's different from today, having a lot on my plate versus then, is I'm more purposeful. Everything I do is with intention. Like I'm here today. There's a purpose. There's a reason. Right? I'm not just doing things just to do them to avoid things. I've had to sit and put myself on a timeout and be like, you're trying to avoid something. Get to work, sister. But that takes a really strong person, emotionally strong person. There's two types of strong women out there, and I'll explain that to you in a minute. But there, you have to have done a lot of healing in order to put yourself on a timeout to recognize old habits and say, timeout, you go sit in the naughty corner. You got to deal with this. And then you can go move on and do your thing, if that makes sense. And I find that there's two types of strong women out there, and the one I can't stand. There's people think that these women are strong, but they're only strong-tongued.
Strong-tongued?
Strong-tongued. They got a lot to say and they're really loud, but they're very weak in here and in here. And then you have the strong-souled people, not strong-willed, strong-souled. So there's different. You have those people that are sharp, have a lot to say, and are negative, but it's because they're not strong within. And so you can tell the difference when you talk to those kinds of people. Pay attention next time you talk to somebody and you're like,
I don't talk to many people.
I don't either. Shh. I sell them lipstick. Put it on. Bye. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. But it's interesting, though, when I pointed that out to a couple of my clients and they were like, Jen, I met a strong-tongued person. I used to think that they were so confident, but the way they spoke, you could just tell that there was all kinds of insecurities within them.
Well, I mean, I kind of have a little love for that only because you've done the healing. So getting the insecurities are the reason, like, we have to get the healing, because those insecurities are unfortunately the driver of people. And that it's like the little injured child. And then you have to do the healing in order to be able to put yourself on timeout and be like, you're avoiding. Which is like you said, I had a lot of things on my plate, and now you still have, I mean, you have a lot of things on your plate. I have watched your posts and your things of the things that are on your plate, and I'm like, holy hell. In fact, we were supposed to do this recording about a month ago, but we had that snowstorm, and you're like, I have to go and take care of the animals and prep for the snowstorm. I'm like, holy shit. Like, that is because that's one of the things I want to talk to you about. How do you do this? You said I choose with purpose, but you do a lot of physically challenging things and a lot of mentally challenging things. So if you think of like how much you have to give away, how do you do that? Because you have to be a very dedicated and strong. That's like very focused, intentional work. How do you do that?
It's funny you asked me that question because I was just talking to a girlfriend of mine who's quite a few years younger than I am. But I think the first and foremost is with the farm and the animals, like, there's just no negotiation. Like, my daughter is going to be 9 in a couple of days, and I live 35 minutes from my family farm. So I get up every morning and I go to the farm, get my work done, and come back.
Oh, you don't live. Nope. In my mind, you lived on the farm.
I drive 35 minutes every day, each way.
Okay.
To me, it's just a non-negotiable. I was raised on the farm, and I think I could be wrong. I just know my friends that are farm kids, we have just a really different work ethic. Like, it's just your animals come first. I've always raised my daughter, you feed the dogs before you feed yourself. If you need a snack, too bad. The dogs need to eat. Our animals need the care first because they depend on us first and foremost, right? There's probably going to be people on here who don't agree, and that's okay. You don't live my life. So it's always just been instilled in me that, like, the animals come first. So that, to me, that's like brushing your teeth in the morning. You just get up and you do your work. And plus, it's just a huge passion of ours. We love our horses. We show horses. We train them. They've instilled so many values. And because of them, I think that's why I'm wired the way I'm wired, is because they've just instilled so much of that hard work ethic mentally and physically. So to me, I feel like I'm forever indebted to my animals. But how do I do it all? I guess you just do it. And people, I don't think I've ever really been able to 100% answer that question fully. I just don't make excuses. And I want to be careful when I say, no, I don't want to be careful when I say this, because even justifiable reasons are still some form of an excuse, And I feel sometimes a lot of people are so busy trying to justify why they can't do something. And I'm that person that's like, fuck it, I'm just going to do it. Let's just get it done. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm going to be 100% transparent. Like, everybody's like, I wish I had your energy. I was like, I'm going through menopause. There is no energy left. I'm tired. Like, I'm tired. But when you have passion for the things that they just pull you, they physically pull you. So again, I'm so busy with the things that I have because they have a purpose. I'm not just doing things to stay busy. All of them are purposeful. And they drive me. And some have more importance than others. Like, we're in our down season with our RV rental. So I have that extra free time. So for me, you just do. You do. And I've also learned, like, if I can't get to it today, the stuff that's not 100% a big priority, I'll get to it tomorrow. You know, it's as simple as that. And giving myself some grace, that comes with age. I give myself a lot of grace, but I'm also super, super hard on myself, and not in a negative way, not in a, oh, you're so stupid, you're so lazy. I push myself because I know I have it in me. But if I can't get it done for whatever reason, all right, let's reevaluate and let's readdress it and focus on it tomorrow. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it sounds like you know yourself
Yeah,
pretty well.
yeah.
You said passion pulls you.
Mm-hmm.
That's really powerful.
I mean, how many times have you done something that you're like, fuck, I don't want to get up and do this? Well, if it's something you believe in, you just get up and do it. I mean, not every day am I going to be motivated to do something, but once you start doing something when you don't really want to do it, it's discipline. It becomes discipline. And when you truly love something, think of it this way. Most of the time people get up and go to their job and they're like, I don't want to go. And they drag their feet and they're negative and shitty about it, but they'll jump up and get out of bed to feed their dog or their kid. Because one, you're passionate and you love, and the other, you don't. That's why it's so important to be purposeful in the things that you choose in life.
Yeah, I think you hit that right there. Like, they'll jump up to do one thing, that passion, it pulls you up, versus the thing that you don't want to do, which if you're waking up in the morning like, oh, I don't want to do my work, please search your soul and find something, because that like crushes me. Think of how much time you spend working or doing or the things. And if you hate what you do, that's a lot of life to be not wanting to do. Like, that is like, just examine that a little bit. Put yourself on timeout.
Yeah, exactly. And is it coming from a place of unhappiness and unhealing, or do you truly just not like your job? So like, if you don't like what you have to get up and do in the morning and you were to change that in 6 months to a year, are you going to hate that too? So then that goes to show you it's not your job. It's something within you, you know, because there's all these people who replace things like it's the next best thing. Right. And yeah, well, it's not. You got some healing to do.
Yeah, I had a woman I was working with last year, and she wanted to get a new job, and we were kind of working through it. And by the end of our 6 months together, it wasn't the job. It was the way she was thinking about the job. And it was really, that one was really cool to see, because a lot of times like people are like, no, this is not exciting. I don't love my job. Like, I want to do this because that is a passion or that is exciting, whatever the thing is. But this was really neat because she totally changed her mindset, and just the negativity just out and in with these just good things. Yeah. And she loves her job now. Like, she loves what she does. And it was the most beautiful thing to see.
Woo! That's a great story. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. It was really neat. Okay. So here's a question. If you try something and you realize it's not for you, how do you do that? Because you're a very dedicated person, where you seem to be like this kind of person, like you start something, you finish it.
Oh, absolutely.
So how do you kind of make that discernment of, okay, I'm starting this and not for me? How do you make that kind of shift there?
Well, if I'm going to do something, obviously, if I'm going to start something, it's got to pull me. It's got to pull me to pour myself into that. And that could be a little of my ADHD too. I'd say, something new. I want to try this. And I do go all in on everything. But if it gets to the point to where the only time I will walk away from something is people, places, things, is if it compromises my morals and my values. If I feel like I have to be something completely different, which is really hard to do. But if I feel like I have to alter who I am, and if it just doesn't feel good. And I know there's a lot of people who, if they don't see results in something, they quit right away. It just didn't work out. Well, how hard did you try? I want to make sure that I've put everything in. I've crossed all my T's, dotted my I's, and then went through the alphabet again, because I just won't quit on something. And then if I slowly take a step back and it pulls me, okay, then we got to keep it. If I take a step back and it feels good back here, okay. I never want to be that person that says, shoulda, woulda, coulda. I'm going to say, all right, I did it. I didn't give it a fair try, or I did it as best as I could and it just didn't align with me, or it just sucked ass and I didn't like it. I don't have any regrets trying things. And it not working out because again, I still won. I still came out winning.
Yeah, because you learned something.
Absolutely. Where most people will try something, they'll be like, oh, I failed at this. I failed at that. Like I did network marketing since I've been 18. Like in my latest company, like I've earned the car and all the trips and all the money and all the things like, but it took me 6 companies to align to where I was. So I mean, I didn't give up. And now I'm, embarking in other things. Like for instance, I had a skincare line before I launched Potty Mouth, before my daughter was born about 10 years ago. And the computer situation wasn't what it is today. And I just finally just wrapped it up. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do it anymore. I'm going to be having a baby. I don't want to be shipping product, like all of that. And it wasn't 100% in my heart at that time. And it probably was the place that I was mentally at. Yeah. But guess what? I'm going to start something else up and I'm probably going to bring my skincare back. Ooh, did I say that out loud?
Well, and you stopped at that time and you had some life things happening, whatever, but now you still have all of that information. Yeah. Like that's one of the things, like you can't lose what you've learned and you can apply that to future things. So for those of you who have done things and that you said like the failure, I can't stand when people see if it hasn't worked as a failure, because I have like quote unquote failed at so many effing things in life. But they got me where I'm at, and I wouldn't be here had I not either tried them or went down a path that maybe didn't work out the way I thought it would work out. But now looking back, I can see like, oh, all these things lined up to get me right here.
Yeah. It sounds so crazy, but I think people fail when they don't try new things. I think when you're just stuck being comfortable, which there's nothing wrong with being comfortable, but if you're wanting and hoping and like, oh, I wish I could do that, just try it. I think you're more successful when you try things and it doesn't work out. And how do you get successful? How do you get to where you want to be in life? You have to fail forward. How do you learn? If everything was comfortable, I kind of dig being uncomfortable. I know it's kind of a drug for me just a little bit. I want to get a little uncomfortable because I want to work to not be uncomfortable. So you have to work hard.
I'm like right there with you.
I like that challenge. And I think that's part of the reason why I picked up bodybuilding. I've already been in health and fitness and nutrition. Like I used to be a fitness model. Like I love it because it's just that other component for women to look and truly feel their best, right? I needed something to push me. I know it's crazy.
Yeah, but that's just for you too. The bodybuilding. I mean, the other things are different. Like you're putting out for the things. True. You're giving to your daughter. You're giving to your businesses. The bodybuilding, I mean,
it's all me.
That's for you. If you think about that, like that's for your mental health, your physical health, your how far can I physically, I'm not there anymore, but I used to be there with the physical. I geek out on running fast and jumping high, the plyo type thing.
Go girl.
And like, that was for me. It wasn't for anybody but me. So, I mean, it's the same, but also different.
Yeah. Like, and I was that person that, I love fitness and working out, but let's do something with it. Let's have fun with it. And then maybe I can inspire somebody who's going to be 50 to do, if it's not bodybuilding, maybe just take more responsibility for their health. I just want women to know that you can do anything in the world that you want to. You just got to get out of your own way. And especially why I wanted my blog to be focused on women 40 and over, actually more so now 50 and over, because I think, you're a mom and you're taking care of your family and you're working for a company and your house, you're the CEO of your household, whatever it may be. And it gets to a point to you're like, what's my purpose? And of course, I asked my husband that. I'm like, what the hell is my purpose? And he's like, Jen, you're a fabulous wife and a mother and all of that. And I was like, what's my purpose? Like I need a purpose. And I know when I work behind the chair, physically it was really bad for me, but emotionally, I was tired by the end of the day, but I felt so rewarded because I knew I was putting words of wisdom into women's heads. Like, do the things you want to do. You're not happy. Like you have the same people coming in every 6 weeks and they're bitching about the same stuff. And I was like, okay, what are we going to do about this? Like either dump the son of a bitch or shut up about it because we need to be proactive because if you're going to complain, there's always a solution. So I let people complain. So when I do, I don't do life coaching like you do. My gosh, you're incredible. But I do have a couple clients that I take on. And for me, and a lot of them are a lot of my old salon clients. So I think that there's still that big bonding over 20 some years, of doing their hair. But, for me, I'm like, here's your moment to complain because you're entitled to that. But then we're going to be solution oriented. So if you're going to come to me with a complaint, you also have to have some solutions. And then how are we going to take micro steps or big steps, whatever you want to get to where you need to be? And I just really want women to know, especially the second half of our life, that your 20s and 30s is really, truly about figuring out who you are and where you're supposed to go. But your 40s on up is who are you supposed to be? Who are you supposed to be?
Ooh, goosebumps.
Yeah. I want women to know that you're more than just, don't think this is bad. I love being a mom. I love being the wife to my husband. He's an amazing dude. There's more to you than just that. Tap into your gifts, figure out what that is, and, give it away and share with people. And women don't understand how powerful they are. And I don't ever want to discredit a man because there's a place for both of us in this world. But women truly are the most powerful fucking superheroes on the planet. Like, the resilience that you must have to do what we do is unlike any other animal out there. And I want women to really understand just what they're capable of. And if you're not where you want to be, you got to get out of your own way. You got to figure out what it is that's holding you back.
Mm-hmm.
When my grandmother passed away 2 years ago, she was just a woman that she had so much to give to everybody. She gave everything to everybody. And the woman had her own stories, right? But she never said anything bad about anybody. I think she'd be turning in her grave half the time I have something to say about somebody, right? Because I just don't hold back. So I'm the mouthy version of her, but she truly lived her life purposefully. And at 90 some years old, I'm like, all right, Nana, sorry for all the F-bombs and having a little bit of a hot head, but I am going to live every day with a purpose moving forward, even more so now than I did before.
It's something I don't know, because I've thought about this too, because I'm kind of at the point where, and I always said this, like, we're going to die. Like, I don't want to not live because we're not here very long. I mean, if you think about it, and personally, I have gone through where I do really well with that sort of like outlook of I'm really being purposeful. I'm on purpose. I have the attitude that I want. And then sometimes I feel like I get sucked in this like tornado of shit thinking and it goes in the toilet. And then all of a sudden I'm like, wait a second, blinders off. And now I legitimately have alarms that go off every 3 to 4 hours to remind me to look for the miracles in life, because I got sucked so in the negativity. And I'm kind of like, wait a second, am I living how one that I teach, and am I living to my fullest? And the answer was no. And so now my husband and I, it's really neat. I found their meditations, and it's like 20 days and just neat little things. They're like 10 minutes, but we listen to them each in the morning and then we talk about them throughout the day. And it's just this little shift in thinking. And it's so insane how just the 10 minutes of time can shift our day. And then, that just compounds over and over again. And we do it together. But this idea of we don't even know how much time we have. I mean, it could be tomorrow. Like, don't be miserable. You have choice. And I feel like some people just live so blindly that they don't realize, like, you actually get a choice. You can change your thinking. You can change your mind. You can change your life. And you don't have to live in a miserable state. Like, you don't.
Oh, I love the fact though, this is what it made me smile, because, we're human. There's times where I get stuck in a rut, like something will happen and I just go off on a tangent and let my sweary mom mouth go because I'm pissed off at a situation that happened. And then I'm the person that needs to like vent it out like 300 times and then I'm done. I don't ever have to talk about it again. Right? Like, that's just how I know I operate. But I think at the end of the day, we have to constantly ask ourselves, what went right, and let's celebrate what went right. So I think a lot of people focus on everything that went wrong in the day, or if they try something new or whatever they're doing, they'll focus on where they're not at currently instead of focusing at like how far they've come, or focus on the things that went right. And I've learned that with horse training. Okay, you've got this big 1,000-pounder plus animal that you're training, and it's communication, and there's very limited words that are used. And there's going to be really bad days because they're an animal, right? And they don't understand. And your one movement could be slightly off, and it could set them into a different planet if need be. So you celebrate what went right, because if you're always focusing on where you're not at with that horse, you're going to get discouraged. You're going to be like, this isn't the horse for me. But if you focus on all of the little tiny things that go right, like today, lots of wins. These are the things that we won at. This is what didn't go right. But let's talk about all the wins first, because then tomorrow we get to celebrate that again. And I think that that's what helps keep people motivated and disciplined in a daily life. So focus on everything that went right. Then talk about what didn't go right. And I do this with my daughter. At the end of the day, and I sometimes as women, we never want to admit when we're wrong, right? I have learned the most humble thing that you can do is admit your wrongdoing. So there will be times where, again, I'm candid around my daughter, and we'll be in bed snuggling, and I'll say, you know what? I didn't handle this very good. And she'll be like, it's okay. Because kids just say, it's okay. No, it's not okay. And if anybody does that around you, just know it's not okay. This is what I should have done. This is what I will do better next time. All I can say is I'll try to do better. Okay, Mom. But just by instilling that in her, I know that those are going to be some things that she looks for in other people, and also she will call her shit out. And she does. She comes to me and she'll be like, hey, Mom, I'm really sorry for the way I acted today. And I, by then, have already forgotten about it. And so I feel, again, like, focus on the things that you do right during the day, count your wins, but then say, okay, these things didn't go as smooth. Let's just work on them tomorrow and make it a promise to work on it the next day. And it's really simple. Celebrate you,
Yeah, I know women struggle. I mean, I work with women, so I can't speak for men, but I know that is a struggle, that one, just the idea of celebrating themselves. I just know when women hear this, they're going to feel all the uncomfortable. Like I can almost hear the air getting sucked out of wherever they're listening of like,
yes.
What? Like, but yeah, I mean, and start small. If that makes you uncomfortable thinking about celebrating you or like looking at your wins, start with small things, like safe and small things where you can start doing that. And then really look, because if all you're thinking about is what went wrong, like you said, or the negative things or what you don't have, that's where you're going to end up. You're just going to get more of that versus if you think,
because the universe is going to feed you all of that negative. Yep. Like you are what you think.
Uh-huh.
And the other thing is, I don't know if you do this with your people, but this is one thing I have, when I had a big team in my direct sales, I tell them every morning, wake up before your feet hit the ground, open your eyes, and tell yourself 3 things that you're grateful for. How can you start your day off bad if you are grateful for 3 things right away? I opened my eyes today. I'm breathing, and I'm grateful that I've got, my dogs here, or my husband here, or my kid here. Like just small things. Again, they're wins, but living in gratitude. And don't get me wrong. I know there are people going to be like, oh, not everybody's that happy and positive all the time. No, like I have my bad days. I can be a royal bitch and be mad.
But that's not what it is. It's not being happy and positive.
No.
It's looking at things through just a little bit different. Instead of looking at the shit that's going wrong or looking at what you don't have, it's looking at things in the form of sufficiency. And it's not like a need for something more. It is this experience, this way of being.
Yeah.
And an excerpt from this book. And it said, we wake up in the morning before your feet hit the ground. You already think, I didn't get enough sleep. I'm overwhelmed with all the things I have to do today. I'm too tired. I don't have enough money. Like this whole idea of not enough before you even, like you're not even sitting upright in bed yet. Yep. So yes, that is one of the things that I'm now working on, because I would wake up and think, oh, I didn't get enough sleep. What the fuck? Like the very first thing that I'm thinking is this negative, and it didn't even occur to me.
It becomes habit almost. You don't realize you do these things and say these things. And again, being self-aware, is really understanding and paying attention to your thoughts. It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. So the book is called The Soul of Money, and the author is Lynn Twist. And I will link that in here because it was just the most beautiful, powerful thing that she wrote, because it's this idea of you shouldn't be thinking you're not enough before you even wake up, or before you even stand up. And I think so many people start their day that way. And if you start your day that way, I mean, how's the rest of your day going to go? And so now the first thing before I do anything is I go over all the miracles of the day before and like positive, like I'm just pumping it in. And I get a little obsessive when I do these things. Like I'm getting hot now talking about it. I personally get too involved in other things where I'm not being, like you said, being purposeful or being intentional. And I don't realize it until a hot second. And then I'm like, wait a second, like I have slipped here. Let me correct course, which
Yes.
I mean, everybody has this,
Yes.
but it's knowing, I'm not living the way I want to be living. And I know how I want to be living. I know, like I'm very clear on how I want to be. And once I have that awareness, then it's like, oh yeah, girl, come back. Come back to the light.
It's what you said, the awareness. And I think we're so quick to point out that some of these other people aren't aware of their own behavior, but are you truly aware of your own behavior? It's been a lifelong process of being the best version of myself. And I think everybody, your number one job isn't to be a wife or a spouse or a partner. Your number one job isn't to be a mom or parent, whatever. Your number one job is you. And this is what I used to do wrong. And I don't do this anymore. I used to just pour myself into my friends. I'd give, buy, love. I'd always be there for them because again, it was a little bit of an avoidance of what was going on inside of here. And it made me happy, but it was a temporary fix. And so now, not that I don't give to my friends and people, but now I have the right people in my circle and I give the right amount, but I give to me first. And if you are not taken care of here, just think, if you're fixed in here, how much better of a giver you can be. You're going to give more purposefully. You're going to give to the right people and not to the wrong people, hence bad relationships and friendships. And you're going to be one hell of a mother, more so than what you are if you are working on you and giving back to you. And this isn't a my cup is half full, half empty kind of thing. Your number one full-time job, and you should be working like you're getting paid $1 million a day on this, is you. Number one is you. And everything else, you will start to see the doors of opportunity. The universe is going to hug you and pull everything that's meant for you once you start working on this.
Mm-hmm. You're always evolving.
Yes.
And knowing, and I know this, it's not like I don't know it, but are you involving with intentionality? Are you being very purposeful in where do you want to go and how do you want to get there? Who do you want to bring with you? Like, what do you want this experience to be like? And you found out, I don't feel good when I'm around certain people. I don't like who I am when I'm around certain people. So I'm going to prune this a little bit and really like just tighten it up and go, create the kind of life. I
like how you say prune. I just bulldoze that shit. But I appreciate that.
I love that.
Jen comes in with a semi. I'm just, let's go.
No, I just have the little shears.
Everybody prunes differently, right? Mm-hmm. And it's, what you have to do. And I think once you start doing that, when you start to fall back in those ways, you don't get stuck there very long. Right? So the more you do it, the better you get at acknowledging and being self-aware of like, shit, I'm slipping. And I want people to realize though, too, like you're human. You're going to go through those times where you're feeling less than and you're having second thoughts and but stay there for a moment. Just always don't get sucked into those negative thoughts or second guessing yourself. Be in the moment, own it, and then get out. And it'll be just that much better for you.
Yep. Mm-hmm. All right. Last question. Do you have a life hack for saving time, energy, or resources?
These are good questions. Time management. The night before, I always look at my calendar, which, by the way, I don't do a paper calendar anymore. Those planner books, I now use my phone. I got to go back to a planner book. I like that.
I do both.
Oh,
I
you're
have to do
good.
Well, I used to do paper, and then my mastermind group, they were kind of teasing me because I think something happened that I didn't have like just a digital one. But I'm always worried that the digital one is not going to keep, like, if you, like, for instance, I was writing down our recording today, but I was in a different time zone. And in my calendar was the wrong time zone. Like, I don't trust technology with full 100%. So I just do a little mix of both.
Let me tell you about this. One time my car got stolen in my appointment book for my salon. And it was in October, my car got stolen, and I was booked all the way through January 1st. We're talking 12-hour, 13-hour days of doing hair. I had no idea of what back in the day. Yeah. And I had to recreate that.
Oh, that was...
It was brutal. It was brutal. And that was before you could put the stuff on the calendar. So
yeah.
I'm dating myself a little bit. Yeah. So I look at my day, the day before, and I think to myself, if I'm going to go to the gym, I needed to be at the gym. Like today, I knew I had to be home and showered and fluffed before, because
you are beautifully fluffed, by the way.
Thanks. I had to be back in time from the farm. I usually don't get home from the farm until like 3:00 in the afternoon. So I knew I needed to be at the gym from this time to this time. From this time to this time, I drive home, have my husband get the kid ready. Out the door we go. From here to here is driving to the farm. I need to leave the farm by this time. So I time block mostly in my head. Mm-hmm. And a lot of that comes from doing hair for so many years that, everything's in certain increments. And as far as resources, well, I don't know if I necessarily have resources per se, but I will tell you something that I've gotten really good at doing. And it's really tough being a woman, but I ask for help now. It's so exciting.
Shocking, huh?
I know. But I've also learned to let go. Where I ask for help, I know it's probably not going to be the way Jen does it, but that's okay. You can't be picky if you ask for help. You have to, take it as you receive it. And so that's probably one of my biggest resources is like, I'm okay saying I can't do this or I can't get to this. Could you help?
Yeah, I think that comes with the whole evolving and healing. All right, Jen, it was really lovely talking to you.
Oh my God, let's do this again. This was fun.
Right? All right. Thanks, Jen.
Thank you.
I so much appreciate every review that I get and to encourage you to give them because they are so important to the growth of this podcast and allowing me to serve more women and reach more people. I have an offer for you. So each month, I'm going to be drawing a name of someone who leaves a written review on the podcast. And you will be entered to win one of my online programs, the Fitness Accelerator, the Nutrition Starter Kit, and the Empowered Transformation Level 1. So anyone who leaves a written review each month, at the end of the month, I'll be drawing a name and you will get access to that program. Thank you so much to everyone who takes the time to leave a review. It does help grow this podcast and I appreciate it so much. Spirit of a Badass is a Lit Path Studios podcast and is produced by Jamie Gale and Alecia Jacobson. Music by Shane Ivers. We'll be back with another inspiring interview. Until then, keep your spirits high and your energy badass.